Compas on the LA beat. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Yeah, Chargers. Yeah, I don't recognize these Chargers, man. They fall behind 10 points. They come back and they win. When I was covering the team, they usually fall behind. They do a rally to mess up my story, and then they usually lose. But not this time around. And it's just a kind of a. I think we earlier in the season we noticed this trend, Fernando, and we were like, okay, when you're winning one score games, that's a sign of a good team. I think Eric Williams went on What's Up Bolts and said that too, and I kind of that stuck in my head. But this also is a sign of like a young team trying to make it to the playoffs. And usually you kind of like the Vikings, man. Like you don't know if they're a real like contender or pretender, but they're just winning the one score games. The good teams are just crushing teams. Like you know that. So we know this Chargers team, like their record indicates who they are. You know, they're a fringe wildcard team, and the ones who are gonna win those close ones will get to the playoffs. So they're doing that. They're proving that to me. Like, you know what, the New York Jets, so there's the 7 seed, they could catch up to the New York Jets. We'll get to Mike White eventually, but just to kind of win these games, it kind of builds, experience for next year. I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but to see Justin Herbert and Derwin James, your two best players, doing what they're doing in the last couple of weeks has been very impressive for me. And then, like, it kind of went back to old school Brandon Staley from last year, like with the cojones, man, the 2 point
Yeah.
conversion, going for it, winning the game on the great play there. Joe Lombardi took a lot of heat, but what a great play on the 2 point conversion for Everett, right? Gerald Everett. It got open pretty easy and got to play. I respect it.
Maybe that's what they've been missing this season. I mean, they haven't really like they did it once and it was against Cleveland. It was kind of a wacky thing that they did, but they ended up converting it or whatever. And now it's kind of like okay, like they got the 2 point conversion. Part of it is the defense. I mean, they were able to hold um Arizona in the fourth quarter to punts at the end of the game, which kept the Chargers in or helped keep the offense in the game. But man, it's just I'm wondering now if that maybe is kind of hurt the Chargers a little bit. That Staley hasn't been that aggressive this year the way he has been in the past. So, but I mean, obviously injuries
I'm
and all
gonna
this other
say, yeah.
stuff. How are you gonna go? Like, how are you really realistically gonna go for it with like Carter, Palmer, and Bandy on the field? Like, yeah, that would be a little bit reckless. But I wrote yesterday on my or on Sunday night after the game. I wrote that to get into the playoffs, I think Staley's going to need to be aggressive, not reckless, aggressive. I think they're going to have to be more aggressive moving forward if they're going to get into the playoffs. I think we're going to need to see a little bit more fourth and Staley or these 2 point conversions going at it. But yeah, it was definitely interesting to see the return of that. And it was a good play call. I mean, very good play. They put Eckler in motion. The corner and Isaiah Simmons kind of bid on Eckler, and one of the corners went with Keenan Allen, so that left Gerald Everett wide open up the middle. So very good play call. I don't think this game should have been as close as what people thought. Not the Chargers game, the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Rams. I mean, I was thinking about it while I was watching the because I kept my eye on that game too, and I felt bad for you. By the way, the NFL I think on purpose only had a handful of games at the beginning because they knew that there was still World Cup soccer on at 11, and they waited till 125 to release all their like better games, I think, just because they didn't want to mash it up with the World Cup, even though it was all on Fox too. So I don't know, it was just weird. But man, did the Rams defense fought. They fought hard. The offense fought. They fought hard, but they couldn't get it. The Rams may be the worst NFL defending Super Bowl champion, I think, in NFL history. Victor Producer was giving us some stats. One of them was where is it? It's right here. That the Rams last week at 3-7 was the worst record in 10 games by a defending champion since 1999, which were the Denver Broncos, who were also 3-7. The Denver Broncos had already lost John Elway, so Matthew Stafford is still here. He's just been through some injuries. That's been pretty bad. Vic also told us that the 2013 Ravens didn't do well the year after Joe Flacco went on that amazing run and they won the Super Bowl. And then obviously the 81 Raiders. Gilbert, these Rams, just because of all the injuries and everything going on, these Rams might be worse than any of those teams. Because I mean, everybody else. I mean, I think Flacco that year got paid, but I think he was hurt most of the year. Obviously the Broncos lost Elway, but these Rams might be worse than all these other teams. I mean, they look pedestrian at best. I don't think they could beat anybody moving forward towards the end. Moving towards the end of the season, they may end up 3-14. And the worst part about it is Gilbert. They're not even tanking for Bryce Young. They're not even taking for a high draft pick. They're taking for a high second round draft pick. So I don't know. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, say they were fully healthy. I think this team might maybe be lucky to win 6 games, but they're not healthy
That's
at all.
crazy. Even fully healthy, they
Yeah,
may only win 6 games.
because they were bad for like the first 8 games of the year, and that was with
Allen
a full
Robinson was
squad.
nowhere to be found.
So like I don't know, like part of me was when I saw the Bryce Perkins was gonna start, like I was a little excited. Okay, finally change something up because what you were doing for the first 8 games, it was boring, it was stale, it was just give it the Cooper Cup. And then kind of like, oh, now I know where Bryce Perkins was kind of a preseason guy. He can't really throw the ball. But at least he was making plays with his legs. I'm like, Stafford couldn't do that. So to get the third down and move the chains. But going back to the whole thing about being the worst Super Bowl defending champion, like I don't think this team could win a game. And because like the ones that are kind of winnable are the Raider game, but the Raiders still have their guys like Derek Carr, all those guys, Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Like the Rams don't even have Cooper Cup, Allen
What?
Robinson,
What?
Matthew Stafford.
What?
Oh, and now Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the world.
What?
Um, Play the Broncos, but the Broncos still have Russell Wilson. Is that a good thing? I don't know. And then who else do they play? They play the Packers. Could be Jordan Love. So they are winnable games on the schedule. The Packer one is in Green Bay, which I'm kind of worried about going traveling wise. But so there's 3 winnable games.
You
That
still go to Green Bay?
What was that?
You go to Green Bay?
Yeah, I go to Green Bay December 19th, Monday Night Football.
Frozen Mexican. Come and watch the frozen Mexican.
There you go. It will be more entertaining than the actual game there. But then they play the Seahawks twice. I'm guessing 2 losses there. And then who do they
You gonna go
play?
to
Oh, they play the
Seattle?
Chargers. They play the Chargers. Yeah, I get to go to
Oh
Seattle.
yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be ugly. Maybe they win one because, like you mentioned, they fought hard, so they're not really like. I thought they were kind of checking in mentally, like they were out of it, like or checking out. And then I saw his case again. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I think they really like Perkins and they wanted to make sure the guy got a fair shake and they fought hard for him. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback controversy. Like controversy. Like if Stafford can't go, are you going back to Wolford? I hope not. Or Perkins, and it's kind of like, I guess. But yeah, we could talk about this all day, but they are pretty atrocious defending Super Bowl champion.
They're gonna go get that little kid that was against Cam Newton. He's like rubbing up my arm.
Well, they do have Case Cookers on the roster in case you want to know his bio.